Hello everyone. So this piece of timber is not for the main sailboat. This is for the small dinghy that I'm restoring as well. This is going to be the seat for the dinghy. So it's another miserable day outside, pouring wet, freezing cold. So no point in trying to do it out there, so I'm keeping it this. So this is some of that cedar timber. I've just used the planer on it to take the roughness off it, and then it's going to be ready for sanding and for shaping then. Right, so the idea is to have those two pieces like that, and then the seat part on top. So rather than just relying on the board itself to have enough strength to stand up to being used, sitting on or whatever, this will give it a bit more rigidity and strength on that plane without the necessity to put a piece down into the bottom of the dinghy, which would obviously be into any water that might be splashed on board or whatever, and contribute to rotting the seat out of it. Right, so that's something else prepped for the dinghy this time. And those will attach on the underside like that, give it strength, and then glue and screw it all together. Maybe I'll dowel it together. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Well, I'm going to have to screw these are going to have to join. This is obviously the full length, it has to be trimmed back to whatever length it is required. Then this block's going to have to go onto the side of the dinghy, and then this is going to have to fix down to it, so they're going to have to be screwed down to it anyway, because I'll have to be able to remove it if ever I need to with it. But yeah, I suppose I could plug this, and then at least from the upper side you won't actually see any screws or anything. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. But that'll have to wait until I get the actual size, the finished size, cut size for it. So, something else to leave to one side. Right, so in the last episode I spoke about the fact that I was unable to source the perspex for the windows of the boat cheap anywhere, like as an off-cut or something like that. So I ended up having to bite the bullet and buy them online. So €88 later, this is what I have. Now there was cheaper alternatives, perspex, but I decided to go for polycarbonate, and I got this stuff, Marlon. It's 2 sides UV protected, and it's also tinted bronze colour. I got them to cut the dimensional sizes. Just worried for a second. I saw this skinny one here, I thought, where the hell's that one go? But that's off-cut. I asked them to include, it was a metre by metre square, it was priced as, and the sizes for the windows, I worked them out from templates that I had here to lay them out and measure around them to see how they worked within this metre by metre square. Otherwise, if it didn't fit, I would have had to jump up to the next size, which was like 1125 millimetres by a metre, which increased in price by about, I think, €30. So luckily enough I was able to measure them out and get them to fit within that so that they could cut it out of it. And I asked them for the off-cut so I can practice cutting and shaping with what tools I have to see which works best before I cut the actual shaped windows out of these dimensional pieces. I figured that makes sense rather than messing up on the real ones. So, that's where we are. It's just the reality that you know, when you do stuff on a boat and you renovate a boat or something like that, it's going to cost you one way or the other. Either you're buying it complete and it's costing you more in the initial phase, or you're doing it up and you're spending the money incrementally over a period of time. It's still costing you money. It's just not as painful because you don't have to throw it out all at one time. But like €88 on windows, it doesn't belong adding up with all the other stuff you have to buy as well. What I intend to do here is do this corner, which is the curve, and then detail in this edge here, which I'm going to do, and draw that out just as far as here, obviously, to try the process to make sure everything I'm going to intend to do works before I try it on the real ones, which I think is a prudent exercise. So I've made these holes to show that edge I want to do, and then mark those on the piece of polycarbonate, and I'm going to join those up to make that. Obviously it needs to be just finished off around the edges, but it's pretty good. No cracking, which is the main thing. Okay, so that's that much done. So now what I'm going to do is remove this edge plastic on this side here, and then roughen up this edge here so that I can apply some black silicone type material, or I'm not exactly sure what it is, butyl stuff. I want to make a distinct black line around the edge, so you don't get it. You get a sort of an edge to the piece. So when it's in place on the boat, you're going to have that sort of finished edge look to it, which I think will look better. At least I hope so. Alright, so I've used the sandpaper to roughen up this whole outside edge, and the plan is to give it a tooth so that the sealer I'm going to use on it will stick to that. At least that's the theory. Right, so I'm going to put this on it now. As you can see, it's the same marine grade product that I used before. See, marine. Oh, don't look at that. Now I'm trying to get a good even coating all over the whole thing. Now, this is not what's going to seal it in place. This is just purely for the visual aspect. Right, so now it's starting to tack over. What I'm hoping to do is to take off that PVC, or I suppose it is the film on this side of the sheet. There you go. Okay, so it's a few days later and this is dried on it, as you can see. So the next test is to try drilling this to see how it drills. Because obviously going to have to drill this to bolt it on to the cabin top. So I'm just going to drill a hole here at this end here. So I don't want to drill too fast and overheat it. Back in a bit of plywood, see how it works. That seems to be okay, it's not splitting or anything like that, so I think I'm pretty good with that. Right, so I've cut the template out, cut the inner part out to give me a more even line to mark for the inner and the outer as well. So hopefully this will work a little bit better. The other tri piece was okay, but I just wasn't happy with the line of the outside edge for where the sealer is put on to give it that black edge, so trying this instead. Previously I used holes punched out to mark the relative points, but I think this is a more accurate method, so I'll try this instead. So this is the front window, and there's two of them mirror image on each side, and then the two other ones are slightly bigger. So I'm going to mark all of these out first and then go start cutting them. Right, that's pretty good. Right, I've marked this out equal increments, and then at the ends I'm going to have to split the difference here on these just to turn these corners. So this is the first day I've been able to go out and actually do something physically on the boat itself. It's nice, bright, sunny even. It's still a bit cold, but it's dry, so I'm just trying to progress this on, get these windows, get the pilot drilled out on the boat anyway. I don't know if I can get them fixed in place and get it all drilled out, ready for fixing. Well, it's definitely not as warm today as it was yesterday, but it's still dry, so try and get this done. So I'm just wrapping a bit of this butyl tape around the bolt where it goes in through the washer to seal through the hole, stop water penetrating through that as well. Right, so now I have these all put through from the other side and tightened in, I'm just loosening them off and putting the washer on them to give them the final tighten up, just to give them a backing on the inside of the fiberglass as well as the outside of the polycarbonate. So as you can probably tell, it's back to being cloudy, grey and drizzling once again, but I've made some real progress in this episode, so that's been really good for a change. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.